Hi everyone, I just wanted to make another quick video and just really share some of my nodes that I have connected here. And my goal was to kind of get some rock formations. I mean, I know I'm at 1K. Maybe while I'm setting this up, I'll switch to 2K. And I usually try to do it at 1K because it goes really fast, even at 4K. But I just want to make sure that depending on your system, I mean, mine crashes if I have Unreal open, Photoshop, other things. So I kind of closed everything down and I only have Gaea 2 open. So I'm just going to go through each node here so you guys can see how I'm kind of puzzling these things together as I am advancing in the new version myself. But so I am looking at this at 2K right now. So I basically switched it. You obviously have to make sure to bake it. And then I'll just go through like some of the things that I kind of picked up, and I'll share these things with you guys. So here I am just gonna click here. I mean, this is kind of cool. If you double click, you can see all the different nodes and you can just, get to them quickly. But for now, I'm just gonna hide this. And then the other thing that I'm doing that I've just realized that I can just double click on these nodes. And so it gives me a lot more space. If I am actually like wanting to zoom in, I can always just double click on something and see them. But the other thing that I also personally like doing is I can just either go here, rename, or you can select it, hit F3 for basically making sure that this would render out, that you would basically get this information out of Gaea. But at the same time, you can just hit F2 and that will stones 2, you can actually name them, and that's the really cool part. And then again, if I go back here, now I can kind of see how I name, or naming convention that I have. I can just double click on it and see that node. But I usually just double click on them and just keep them really organized, and you can see that I still have some of the naming convention at the bottom. So I'll start with the first one. So I basically started with a canyon, and the great thing is that Gaea already has some of this erosion already included, and it already out of the box looks amazing. So you could definitely connect erosion to this, and then you can obviously go to search. I just right click, and then you can get this Unity or Unreal node, and you can get it out to Unreal. And I usually just like personally was exporting the files myself, but today I will also try this and make another video on the Unreal output. But for now, I just want to go through each of these one by one and show you guys what I am doing. So, and some of the nodes that I find very powerful. So the second thing that I connected was rock space, and you can find that under surface. If you basically go to rocky, you'll see that node is down here. Or again, some of these things are just like really well organized, and you can see the UI is so clean and so very easy to really like get to exactly what you're looking for instantly and right away. So here I basically have just a bit of information to give it these rock formations, and we can kind of go crazy here obviously, but I want to make sure, because when you come into the engine, especially if you're bringing this as a height map, some of these things are going to be very sharp, and then your textures are going to start stretching. Unless you have a very, very good Unreal Engine landscape material. I know that some people have really good materials that they put together that may fix some of these issues, but I personally find it that I'm always very careful. And I hope that this video especially helps. On how harsh do I go, how high do I go as far as the formation. And then if I didn't have erosion, if I lower this now, you'll see it's going to get even more intense with some of the information that's going in here. So I always try to eliminate this, because if I was to, let's say, go in here now, and then down here you can just go to blur, it's going to apply that to the entire terrain right now. So you can obviously decrease it, but I usually just do that at the very end, and I'll attach that to a particular node. So here, let's just leave it like this and continue. So I'm gonna move these, because when you double click, they're gonna kind of open up again, and I'm hoping it's not gonna crash now. It did crash. Okay, so I'll open it up again. and I'll just double click on the file, and we're right back. So this one, I'll pull it to the side, and I'll go to my next one. Here I have the shear, and the reason I did this because I wanted to kind of, I was thinking maybe the middle area would be really cool for cinematics, or even if you're just like wanting to have your player character on Unreal, or if you're using Unity, just test play it, you know, just be on the ground. You can kind of get a really good idea on the scale, right? So I wanted to kind of change the kind of shape of it, and that's what I'm doing here. As you can see, the higher my strength, obviously here, if I just go to my front view, you can see what it's doing. It's kind of curving and shearing that off. So the next one that I have is going to be stones, my favorite one. So stones is pretty much what it says. It's going to give you this sort of normal information. And here I have my scale down. The smaller, obviously, the higher you go, you know, the stronger, and the kind of bubbly formations seem just a little off as far as like scale goes. So I usually just like go and make those really, really small. And then you can control the fall off, and that's the great part, right? So I can go here if I want them really all the way on top. And the reason I'm doing this, because I have so much information here, that's the area where I do a lot of stretching, and I want to actually, I don't want to just use erosion, but I want to be able to add even more information and data, like, you know, mesh information. So here I am basically have my density really high, just so I can really see them. So if I zoom out, you guys can see now it's like really visible, and that fall off is going to help me control how much of it do I want to kind of sneak it in here. And I don't want it in here, so I'm just going to leave it down. And then if I zoom in, you can see that here I can control the height. So I'm going to push it even more now, lowering this value. And if I actually go this way, you can see that now my height is not being affected because due to this fall off right now. So I'm going to put it back up there. And I want to kind of get it so it just falls off here, right? I don't want any rock formations in the middle. So then I am going to add a little bit of distortion, which does it to the formation itself. And then I'll take these guys, I'll move them, and I'll go to the next one, which is the rock noise, but it's not loading for some reason. Let's see here. Okay, here we are. So these are kind of like these patches that are coming in, additional rock formations. So you can control the size here. And I have noticed that it's almost like a alpha that comes in, and I see the cutoff. I personally have not been able to kind of eliminate that, but I've been playing around with it enough with the size and variety, and that kind of still gives me a nice breakup. And I didn't want to blur it, but for now I am just leaving it kind of where it is. And then on the next one I have erosion. So that's where I want to kind of start seeing more realistic formations and erosion. And here, if I lower my duration, obviously you can see that this is kind of sneaking in here, and you can control that. If I increase it, it'll do even more and more erosion to that terrain. But in this case, I wanted it really low, because obviously this would be the node where I would attach my output to. So I'm going to leave it at that, and you can see that I also have these additional other ones on this side. So then I have the shatter node, and that helps me. So if I basically go here, you guys can see the difference. So even more variation, even more breakup. So I'm thinking I'll probably use like the ocean in Unreal. So there could be an opportunity where I could sneak that in, and I'll still have some nice like edges where the water would come in. So I was kind of happy with this, so I'll leave it at this, and then I'll move on to the next one. So here I basically wanted to use two different ones. One is the outcrop and the other one is the rockscape. So here let me show you the before and after what it does. So I'm just increasing and making these a little bit more different. So I'm adding like a different kind of variation here, even though I know I'm getting into this kind of stretch, but I'm just still like exploring this This is actually something that I've started to see how far I can take this. And then Rockscape, which is just an amazing, no, I mean, look at this. Just as is, already like breaking everything up. Obviously the scale is very large, right, due to these. If I was on the ground, that just doesn't make sense. So I can easily control how much of it I want. You know, I can kind of break it up, how rough it's going to be. You can see like what the roughness does. Let me zoom in. So if I go really high up there, you can see it's just breaking everything up. But if I go to the lowest value, it's going to flatten these tops. Right? It just really depends on your art direction. What kind of things are you doing? But the erosion before and after is to give you an idea what this particular rockscape does. I think it's really cool. I mean, it could be an alien planet. It could be something really, really cool if you had like a cinematic shots where you're flying over. But in this case, I'm just gonna kind of break that up and give it like this terrain kind of look. And I can always go back to this, right? Or I can add this now to a mask by height. So now you can see that I also have the ability to control this guy. So here I am just creating additional pockets of shapes, right? This is kind of interesting. Let me actually move my light to the other side. So here you can see that I have this very, if I go to the top view, so you can see that this is really interesting. So it's kind of breaking that up, that repetition. And so I think this already, as you can see, looks very interesting, right? So if I had some sort of spacecraft or, you know, maybe a helicopter or something flying over this terrain, this could be very cool. That gives us a lot of information. There's really nice height variation on these guys. So I'll continue to stones again, my favorite node. And I am adding this, and you can see that I am getting even more information here on the ground. The reason I'm doing that, I want to kind of break it up. And that would be pretty much it. So here now, I will just, you know, go here and do another erosion 2. And I want to keep my, I don't want to go too much with the erosion because it always looks like typical terrains that you would kind of do, or I see this a lot. So I personally do not like that, but I'm more into the organic kind of alienscape looking formations. So I'll leave it at this. And here now we can basically combine some output nodes, which is going to be here. So under assets, you can basically add measure. And if I add this node, now you can see that I can export it. So let me actually open this a little wider here. The information that you have with measure is OBJ, FBX, and I actually tried ABC2. I am not sure what this is. And then if you click here, you can bind it. I haven't tried any of this, but reset is something that I've tried that resets it back to the default. And then the scale obviously is normalized meter, kilometers. Then you have your topology here, and then you can also go to choosing the LODs. And you know, Gaea shows you exactly, like if I go to my LOD 3, you can see that it gives you a really nice breakdown here. So I'm going to leave this at none. And then if I wanted to export it, you would basically go to your build settings. And in the first one, you would basically choose the resolution. In this case, I'm at 1K. So if I go to 1K, it would basically render this for me now. But if I wanted 2K, I would need to rebake it, meaning that I would need to go here and set the, let's do it. I hope it's not going to crash. So let's set this to 2K. Now we'll give it a minute. I mean, obviously it's going through each node, and it's going to come to the end, to the erosion 2 node. And it gives me the build time. If you just like mouse over, you can see the status. So once we have that, obviously if I just wanted to export this as like a mesh file and bring it into like Blender, that would be ideal. So in the meantime, I will just go ahead and open up Blender. And I will open up one of my recent files here. That should hopefully come up. So this is how I basically brought in another mesh. So if I go back, maybe I should just close down Photoshop. This one should be a 2K now, so you can see there's a lot more information. We don't have any crazy triangles, and this is pretty cool. So all you would do here, basically making sure that you have these settings, and then the next thing that I would do is go to my build settings. Under terrain, obviously you can see this information here. The build would be basically choosing the path where you want to export this, and then that would be your executing the build. That would get you ready to do it. You can either do it here, or once you set everything up there, you can basically go to build and export. So, or you can do Ctrl Shift B, I think. Yeah, okay. So then we can basically build this out. The other thing, as far as like the colors goes, and it's very, very simple. I will just leave this here, but I am just going to create a set map, and you have a variety of options here as far as your gradient colors go. So you can basically pick any of these, and that'll be your first sort of color map. I will do another one and say set map, and this would be the second one, right? So then you can go in and create like a second one that you personally like. Let me just choose here something else that's different. So now we have these two. I just want to make sure they're really different from each other. Let me just go to totally different one. So now once you have these, then again, you can export these. And the only thing that I forgot to tell you guys, that if I want to export this now, it actually wouldn't build it, because we also need to make sure to right click and F3 this guy. So we need to make sure that we want to mark this for export. So you can either come here with the right click or hit F3. So now once you see this, that means that now this measure will give us the output to whatever information that you have here. Same with these. I can just do F3, F3. Now these will be the 3 individual nodes that will come out. If you wanted to do your height map, obviously we can do that too. For example, the normal, all you need to do is right click, and then I am going to put the normals. Now you can see I have my normal map, and if I want to export this, you would do F3 again. And then sometimes you can combine these nodes. Like if I wanted to combine these two guys, I can basically take this one and then maybe do other things. I can just clamp it and blur it, but I usually just do the combine node, and I will combine this to the A. It always reminds me of Unreal. So now this and this is combined, and then you can, it's kind of like Photoshop. So I can either do add, multiply, divide, which is really cool, and then you can control the combined ratio value, right? And then we can even export this. I've tried that too. So the other thing that I do, I just double click on these guys. It just keeps it nice and neat, because I just kind of end up going nuts with these, and I connect a lot of things together, because the more I do that, I find it that it's endless. You can just do so much with this program. You're not really limited to, okay, well, let me just start off with, normal terrain, couple of things. You can do a lot with this program. It's really, really impressive how quickly I can do that. So if there's certain things that I know that I am 100% sure with, I can basically just go in and clean up my graph this way, right? So again, I'm gonna go back to Blender, and here you can see that I obviously just brought this in, and I'll go to my settings. I'll change this, and I'm in cycles. So here basically this is the material that I have is really simple. The principal default one, I just attached my normals that I brought in, and you can drag and drop them in. Here's that set map that I have, the first one. And then I also have the RGB curve, because the first time you're going to bring this in, it's going to look very different. You're either going to have the image really, really bright and light, and so you can control this with the RGB curves, which is great, which is add color and then RGB curves. That's how you can do it. And usually you can just like drop that on top, and that will attach the node in Blender. So let me actually get rid of that. I'll just like connect this guy again to color. And again, also I have the normal map. So here, obviously in Blender is amazing, and you can do add the fog information here and just get some really nice animations. And if I go to the world, my material, and the way I have it set up here is actually just with the default lighting settings, just so I can kind of see what I'm doing. The only thing that I haven't figured out, if any of you are using Blender, I am getting this kind of black value in the shadows. It's like really harsh, and I'm not really that good with Blender. I'm still new to this program, so I couldn't figure out why that is. I probably have to look up on the internet some more. But going back into Gaea again, I think this is a really good program. Just go in and start experimenting and start basically going in there and dropping things on top of each other until you kind of find out what you can do. And the other cool thing is the last tip here. Once you have something that you really like, what I usually do, I usually just go back to my very first one. And here, if I just wanted to like go to classic, or change the scale, like if I wanted to make any kind of change here to it, I'm not sure why it's doing this right now. Maybe it's due to my graphics card or the memory. And my point of this was that I can make certain other changes and go to my last one and still kind of explore and see like what is it that it's doing. And I hear my fans going off on my PC, so it's definitely calculating right now because I'm in 2K. But that's kind of cool because all these other in-between nodes that I have are things that I know that I want, and just the way that I did it. But every time I go to my very first one, that's where I can actually like make certain changes to the shape and still get something else and create variations of that. Hopefully you find this useful. Again, if you guys are using this, let me know how far you've gone into it. Again, the Unreal one is the next video that I'll probably do. I want to keep this video short so I can make more videos. Have a great weekend, and thanks for watching, guys.